Rock Valley College, South Suburban College, and Triton College. I'm Anita, Sierra, and Will. So we're gonna make this interactive, okay? So Sierra, if we can go and click on that wheel. If you are called upon to respond, we're gonna bring the mic to you, or I believe I have a person walking around with a mic. Yes, absolutely. So are you ready to make a difference? Go on and spin that wheel. Let's see what that says. When we think about barriers and servicing our students, they face barriers. And so what are some of these barriers? The first one that was landed was career readiness. Does anybody have an idea what barrier that would be? Or how would you address that barrier? Financially? Okay. Anybody else with a career readiness? Employability skills. All right, great. Let's go on and remove that, Sierra. So these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about in our presentation, okay? We're spinning that wheel again. And it landed on financial assistance. Would that be a barrier that our students are facing? Okay. And so how does WEI assist with that financial assistance? You'll soon find out. Go on and spin that wheel again. Now that's a free one for you. That means that I'm gonna walk the mic to you, and then you tell me a barrier that you do not see on that wheel. Let's see. Is that okay if I choose you?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Now, what am I doing, darling?
You're gonna say a barrier that you don't see on that wheel in regards to some things that we may face in terms of WEI. So what else you see?
Systemic racism.
Okay, you wanna elaborate on that?
Yes, when racism is in the system, and therefore it impacts everything because it's blind. You can't see it, but you experience it.
Okay, so that's a barrier, right, for WEI that we'll address. Gonna remove that and gonna spin the wheel? Let's see. All right, the next one is transportation. Why would that be a barrier? Now, if you were listening to the speaker that we just left from, she explained to you why that was a barrier. Why do you think that's a barrier? Let me see if I can walk it over here to you.
Well, if you can't get to the school, then you can't get to the classes. If you can't get out of your neighborhood, you can't get to a place of work. You're limited in your opportunities.
Absolutely. So transportation definitely can be a barrier for the students that we are servicing, but we're going to see how we address that as well with the WEI. And I think we have two more. Safety, absolutely.
I was saying transportation is also a safety issue today. It's not safe on the public transportation areas, nor even in your own vehicle because of the massive violence.
Thank you. All right, did you spin that wheel? And now we have employment. Will, I think I'm going to call you for this.
Okay.
Why do you think employment is fair?
Well, as the representative mentioned before, somebody who works 2 minimum wage jobs, working the graveyard shift, then going directly to another job that's the minimum wage, those don't always add up. So employment definitely is a barrier because if you're busy working 2 jobs, it's hard to find a better one.
Thank you so much, Will. And we're going to spin that one more time, and there should only be one left, and that's a blank one. So let me see who I'm going to choose in the room. Any volunteers? Oh, we're shaking our heads. Absolutely.
Childcare.
Childcare. All right. Childcare would be a barrier for some of our students. Huh? Yep. Thank you so much. So, of course, we couldn't share everything that would be barriers, right? But we're here to see how we can impact the barriers that we do have. So I want you to know that with these presentations that we're going to start with Sierra, please pay attention. We have not addressed everything, but some of the tips and tools that we've used, hopefully you can implement within your colleges. All righty, are we ready?
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for Anita, her great introduction. How is everyone doing this afternoon? All right. Just how is everyone doing this afternoon? All right, that's the energy. All right, I'm gonna need y'all to help me a little energy today. So I like to walk around. I do talk a little fast, so I'm gonna work on slowing it down just a little bit. So if you need me to repeat anything, I'm always fine with that, okay? So my name is Sierra Morris. I'm the WEI Director at Rock Valley College, located in Rockford, Illinois. So the purpose of this presentation is interventions making a difference. It's no secret that South Suburban, Trident, as well as Rock Valley College, we've been successful, in things that we've been doing to remove those barriers for our students. So we are honored to share some of those practices with you all in hopes to get everybody going in the same direction and removing barriers for all students. So the first slide is just completing our goals. And some of our numbers, if you can see, Grant 2, Grant 3, currently where we are in Grant 4, about 165 participants, like the average salaries of where we are, completion numbers, and then also our employee numbers. If we look at the compiled data on the left side of the slide, we've been able to serve 335 participants from 2021 until currently right now where we are in exceeding that goal, 133%. We've also been able to serve 60.5% of African Americans throughout our 3 years of the grant. 244 completion, so got about a 72% completion rate right there. I want to get that going up a little bit more if we can. And then also the one that I'm ecstatic about is 190 of those 244 are employed. So exceeding that category about 82.6%. So that is the overall goal of the grant. We have the front end where we work on recruitment, and then the middle part where we're removing those barriers, and the end part where we want to place them in employment, making 30% above the regional wage. Our next one, which is my favorite one, a little bit when we talk about equality versus equity. Everyone, we talk about equality, then we talk about equity. Two different things. You have to look at WEI from an equity lens. And the first one, as we go with, up here, is just equity, imagines an equal world. So we have, let's just say, a regular student, WI student, community student. So everybody thinks that success is one narrow road and that every single student is trying to attain the same thing, okay? But that picture isn't always perfect because the world isn't equal. So everybody is not gonna take the same path. Everybody is not gonna have the same support systems. Everybody is just gonna be different, but they also have that same success that they wanna reach. Okay, it's just gonna take us different ways to get there. So we go to this first one, we have scholarships, education, middle to upperclassmen, when we talk about that financial piece that we just heard about. We talk about active social networking. So it makes that person has a little booster, okay? It gets them closer, okay, to their road of success. Then we go to the middle piece, where that person probably have maybe 2 out of 6 of these, so it puts a gap into their road to success. Then we go to the third one, okay, which I like to say a lot of our WEI students are here, okay, because they don't have any of that. And they actually start lower because they're in a hole based off the generational gap in poverty that we also talked about. So then we go over here, okay, back here and say, but, okay, what is the problem? Okay, what is the issue? And it's the bias, okay, in the system. Because the system was not made for these students to survive. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the students, it has to do with the system. So we, collectively in this room, that's our jobs, right? To change the system so that we can make those students feel like they have a place to belong. And we go here, but what stands out from this picture? From here, okay, we see here, this letter isn't straight over here, okay? It's broken. It's broken. So it's impossible for them to climb that ladder without having that support, for them to equal all the way up. So we talk about where the pieces of the ladder start to become weak, okay, weaker. Microaggression, okay, we all are aware of that. We go down to implicit bias, talk about that sense of belonging. Then we go to the predominantly marginalized racial ethnic groups, where we also just heard we're 14 at the bottom on that one. Then we go to the remediation over here that goes here. So it is impossible for any student to want to even start to climb this ladder because they don't know. So where do we fit in? The equity piece. Equity, okay? Equity is the only thing that will build this ladder up to put the pieces together so that these students, and once again, it's still not gonna be pretty, but at least they can start climbing and they can start moving. Because as long as they're here, there's no place for them to move. So they're just standing here. So we wanna get them over here where they can move, and that starts with regular data, analysts, goal setting, action planning. When we talk about case management, we talk about full wraparound services. We go here, the faculty and staff training to be equity facilitators. That's a big thing, and that starts with us. Notice that's the second key right here just to build that. So it starts with the staff and also with understanding how practices impede equity. Okay, so everything we're doing now is going to help that student continue to climb that ladder and climb that ladder. And that's what we're trying to do. So we go to the next step, and what does that ladder look like? Okay, what does that road look like? Scaling up success. Okay, how do we scale up success? And a few things that we do, Rock Valley College, is the free tuition and supplies, which all 19 colleges do as well. And that includes the offering programs that lead directly into the workforce. And they're also covering cost of all supplies and equipment for all of our students. They are able to keep everything that they have once they enter the program. Okay? Also, we go to the other side is the full-time staff, which is my favorite one. We can't do it alone. Myself, as being a director, we have a full-time staff of 5, including my 6, including myself, as well as 2 student workers. We all have a percentage in that pie that equals the whole. So I can't do it without my team. My team can't do it without me. So that is very, very important for that. We have a director, 3 full-time life coaches, also known as retention specialists. Then we also have a full-time AMIN administrator, a full-time job placement specialist, and then 2 student workers that kind of handle us with the intake process, answer phones, flyers, paperwork, help us with events and things like that. Then we go over to the case management piece, which is critically important. It's our performance agreement. So we do 3 event sessions. So we do a WEI event session, information session, where we're just letting students know what they're getting themselves into, what is a part of the WEI program, how we could help them and get them to where they want to be in life. Including that, those performance agreements, it's life coach agreement. Okay, they have to do weekly check-ins with life coaches. It's mandatory that we have to know what's going on with you. You have to check in with us. You have to have a 75% completion rate in your classes, and things like that. Then we also have a job placement performance agreement where you have to complete X amount of workshops. You have to go on X amount of interviews and things like that. So we know that we're kind of boosting you towards that success. Then we go over this side to the bi-weekly progress reports. Based off an educational study that was done, if you are able to catch a student within the first 2 weeks of a class, not 4 weeks, 2 weeks of that class, okay, you're able to provide them with the resources that they need to successfully pass that class. Okay, you can get the behavior pattern. Then weekly academic progress reports for those as well. Okay, so we do something where it's called weekly attendance stipends that we also do for our students. So based off if you are in 32 hours worth of training, you're able to get compensated just for attending that class. Okay, then we go over here, we have food and transportation. So we provide gas cards for our students as well, transit passes, rideshare reimbursements, and we also do food cards. And we also have 5 locations, and we keep food in all 5 of those locations. So when our students are going on break, they can go in their room, they can get some snacks, something to refuel them, to get some energy in their body. And we go over here to the career readiness component. Every one of my staff, with the exception of our AMIN assistant, we teach our own workplace ethics class that relates to the Illinois Essential Employability Skills. It's a one credit college course that every one of our students go to. And that's where we teach the soft skills and things like that. So we'll get into that a little bit later. We do the bi-monthly career prep workshops. So we do them, offer 2. Every month, offer 2, whether it's from resume, whether it's from LinkedIn, whether it's from mock interviews or things like that. So we want to meet students where they are. And then also we do have a career readiness and interview closet, which we'll touch bases on that a little bit later as well. Then just incentive stipends. So we provide weekly attendance stipends for students, completion stipends for students, as well as employment stipends for students. That's a big thing that we talk about, is getting students to report back to us. So why not create an incentive for that, right? Hey, once you go get this job, and you come back to us and let us know how much you're making, here's a $1,000 stipend to help you, okay? You might have to pay for uniforms, transportation for that 2 week. We all know that sometimes once you start a job, you're probably not seeing that paycheck till probably about 3 weeks out. Okay, so give the students something to boost them so they can, we can help them and we can receive the information so we can report it back to the state. Financial assistance, we do debt forgiveness through our RVC. So if a student comes in and they have a balance, then we're able to clear that off. If a student comes in, they want to do the CDL program, and they have a record, driver record, we're able to pay the funds for that as well. We do child care reimbursement, which is huge, so critical. You have a lot of single parents, whether it's fathers or mothers, so we're able to reimburse them for whatever child care that they are receiving. And then we also have the emergency relief fund, which is something we just added. I'm extremely passionate about this one, just because you think about a student if their car breaks down, or you think about a student who's unable to pay rent or things like that, that's a barrier. And they're not thinking about class, they're not thinking about training, they're thinking about how can they make these ends meet. So if our students come to us, hey, my car broke down or something, we're able to fix that, okay, and pay that for them. So that's very critical. Then we go over to employment. We work with over 30 employers right now currently. We do bi-monthly company tours where our companies are coming in, talking to students in the class, and we're also taking our students to do company tours so they can see what they're getting themselves in. They can start networking, and as well to show the companies and employers how dedicated we are, to getting our students. And then we also do our WEI job board where this is something we just incorporated as well too. We have a bulletin board. We get all these emails, right? Hey, we're hiring. So we put all those on a posting for our students. So when they're coming in the office, they could see stuff. They could take that ownership on themselves as well, and just not us always, trying to tell them, how to operate. Then we do laptops rental. We have about, 50 laptops now that we rent out to all of our students who need them, as well as hotspots, because Wi-Fi is a barrier. Students may not have Wi-Fi. Students may not have laptops, and we can't expect them to meet success if we're not gonna apply them with the tools that they need to be successful. And then we go over to events. We do some information sessions. We have quarterly completion ceremonies, so 4 completion ceremonies a year we do, and then we also do 4 quarterly career fairs a year. And I'll make sure I email this out to you. You all can click on the links right there, and then it'll take you to some of the pictures so you can kind of see the turnaround and things we have. And this is our STU 103 class, which is the workplace ethics class. And this pretty much is our modules as it goes through. So we all teach this class. It's about an 8-week course for us where we are teaching those soft skills. So our job placement specialist and myself made it intentional to go around and meet with employers and ask them, what are y'all looking for? What are missing in these students? So we could be intentional on teaching those skills so that when they get that job, they're able to sustain it. Hey, a lot of times, our students can get jobs, but they don't stay in those jobs long. And we're looking for them to make that a career. So how do they attain that job? We have to supply them with the tools that they need. So the first module is just course overview, asking a lot about the student, getting to know them, their backgrounds, where they are, certain experiences that they've been through. Then we go to integrity, which is a big piece of obtaining any job in any part of life. Integrity, doing what's right, regardless of who's watching, who's not watching. And we go to professionalism, which ties a little bit into, to integrity. And I don't know about y'all, but Crocs is a big thing for me right now. And our students, they are just wearing them like they are the new Jordans that came out. So you just think about that. You can't wear Crocs to an interview. So it's just little things like that. And, and not really teaching them where it's like going against them, but just educating them, because our perception of them will be different than anybody else's perception. And then we go to communication, which is broken into 2 pieces, because there's 1,000 ways to communicate: nonverbal, verbally, attitude, size, anything, the way you interact with anyone, things like that. And then we go to teamwork, interpersonal skills. Once again, you cannot do it alone. I've never seen no one being able to be successful just by themselves. They've always had somebody working in the background, working with them. So teamwork, it's important to teach them teamwork so they can know how to deal with different people from different cultures, different backgrounds, and things like that. Okay. And then the leadership initiative, workplace ethics final. And then this is just a little syllabus too, that when we email it out, you can go ahead and look at things like that if you need to. And this is our career closet that we also have with this. So I will play it really fast, kind of navigate along as we go through it. as we said, when you are asking these students to go out there and interview and teach them things like that, a lot of students don't have the proper attire to even go interview, okay? So this is our career closet. Everything is donated from internal employees, CBOs that we work with. We take it to the cleaners, get it nice, and we pretty much set it up just like a career closet. It's open to all of our RVC students. They can come in, try on things. It's a fitting room for males, females, whoever, and it's just to help them feel that sense of pride when they go to those interviews. And we've also partnered with our library too to start creating a space for our students to do interviews. So a lot of students don't have interviews. They don't have the right place to do interviews. A lot of interviews are done online now, and they are done through Zoom and things like that. So we've created that space for our students to come in, set an appointment with us, hopefully be able to give them a little bit more confidence and boost them up and give them that nice, quiet space where they can go and they can seal that interview. Don't know what happened here. Okay, and then it's our last slide here. Just our testimonies. Chase Gully, Mechatronics, Tiffany, Fernell Stearns, a few of our success stories that came through our WI program. We're extremely fortunate to have them. And then just some quotes here from our dean and then our president is when adults earn credentials that lead to job offering high wages, it not only changes the trajectory of their lives, but also the lives of their families, while strengthening the community, growing the workforce, expanding businesses, and creating a more vibrant regional economy. So thank you all, that's my time. And last shout out to my team. Thank you so much. We wouldn't be able to do anything we do without our team, so thank you. I know you all not in here, but thank you so much. And Anita, here you go.
Thank you so much, Sierra, and I know we have a lot to share. I'm going to try to move quickly through our slides. This is South Suburban College. Take a look at our beautiful campus. Isn't it beautiful? Right. We want it to be attractive for our students as well. So we have Dr. Lynette Stoke, who is our president. She is here today. I think she might have stepped to another room. Okay. Dr. Tasha Williams, who's our VP of Academic Services. Dr. Deborah King, VP of Student Enrollment Services. She is also here today. And then myself as a project manager. I do have deans that's in the room. Raise your hand, Dean Powell. She supports the WI program, and I have 3 other deans, and they said, do I need to come to your presentation? I said, nope, you already know about us. Go on and find out some other stuff that we can start implementing in regards to that. Next slide, please. All right, so WI, we have been with WI since the inception, and that's a great thing, right? Because you can see where improvement needs to occur and what we've done to do improvement. So in fiscal year 20, we enrolled 300 students. In fiscal year 21, we enrolled 228 students. The 300 was decreased because we realized that we have those summer terms, the fall terms, and then the spring terms. And enrolling the student at the last minute, you will not be able to make that completion rate. And so were we able to provide the best services for 300 students with the staffing that we had? Or did we need to decrease that so that they can get the effective services so that they can be successful through the programs? So 80%, the target goal for WI is 60%. We've already met the metrics of 80% all the time. It's showing the need for our communities in terms of the WI program. The funding needs to keep coming. The funding needs to keep coming. The funding needs to keep coming. And even if you got more funding, please send it our way because we will put it to good use with our students in our communities. So as you can see, African Americans, 82%, 80% in fiscal year 21. Students completed the program in fiscal year 20 was 128. And being as a project manager, that didn't take place until the second year, I began to look at these numbers. Now, it's one thing to get people enrolled, but it's a whole nother thing to get them to the finish line. So I'm all about enrollment, completion. But in between that, there's going to have to be some retention. So that's the part that I'm going to speak about. In fiscal year 21, we had 168. Do you see the improvement? I do. It was 74% improvement. And I'm still pushing it. I would like 100%, but my dean said, Nita, will you accept 95? I will. All right, so what are some interventions that we did that was differently? We increased the marketing, district-wide mailers, open houses, enrolled over 200 participants. Word of mouth, the students. Once they've come through our program, they felt the love. They felt the support. And guess what? They went and got others. Okay? We changed this staffing structure. I think in the first year, the deans and the VPs had a lot of reporting to do because we were all part-time staff. They soon realized that that method was not going to work. So they made me full-time as a project manager, and then I had another full-time person as a partnership coordinator. We still had 4 part-time positions. Today, standing in Grant 3, we have 3 full-time positions and 3 part-time positions, and we're hoping to get some more part-time positions. Let them know at SSC we need some more full-time positions, okay? All right, so we also increased the short-term programs. So short-term programs can be anywhere from 8 weeks, 16 weeks, 24 weeks. And those were forklift, contact tracing, BNAP, and solar installation. Programs with credentials, the patient care technician, took a little longer, 16 to 24 weeks to complete. Barber technology, we're gonna show you some slides in terms of our barber program in just a few seconds, okay? The community health workers, we included stipends. We know that financial that was a barrier for our students. So they had to receive some money, some support, some encouragement to continue on. Because I said, I'm not about just enrollees, I'm about completions as well, okay? Expanded our partnerships and then included employer spotlights. So you're asking, what is that? That's simply we're inviting them to a platform virtually, right? And after our students complete the program or close to their second week of completing the program, we invite the employers to come to us virtually. We have our students meet them there, and they're telling them the process, meaning this is how you complete the application. It needs to look like this. This is what your resume needs to look like. And then we have our partnership coordinator and our partnership assistants that help with those resumes to give the employer exactly what they're looking for, okay? And so that helps a lot with our employment is our employer spotlights. If you can go to the next slide. All righty. So what are some interventions that we did here at South Suburban College? The WE orientation, it is mandatory, mandatory, mandatory. I am a firm believer, if you're coming into a program, you need to know how that program operates, and are you going to be committed to what you're signing up for? How about that? I also want to hear from the students in regards to their expectations, right? We have expectations of our students, but do they have expectations of us as employees? Yes, you've received grant funding, and we need you to move these dollars into our communities and into our lives so that we can be better for our children, okay? We intake form along with our agreement, we had that built in. WI laptop distribution. So what took place when the pandemic hit? We realized that our students were not going to be able to be successful without having the necessary tools. And so we, the leadership, began to purchase those laptops. So every student that comes to our program, they're able to receive a laptop. Now, they have to go into a laptop agreement with us. We want them to complete the program, not just receive the laptop and walk away from our program, okay? So that happens the first week of classes. We distribute those laptops, and where they are able to keep those laptops upon successful completion of the program. Did you hear what I said? Upon successful completion of the program. That's an incentive, but they also have to do those check-ins. We also have the midterm check-ins. So as Sierra mentioned in hers, they do it 2 weeks in. Absolutely. We do it every week. They have to check in with their college to career coaches, with the partnership coordinator and partnership assistants. But in the middle, we're somewhere with 4 weeks, because most of our programs are 8-week long, I want to actually meet with them again as a project manager. I want to know, have you been going to class? Now, I already know these answers. Why? Because I've been in communication with the professors. So I want to know if the students are showing up. And that's really where those outreaches began to occur, because 4 weeks through, it's not too late in the game to get back on track. And if you've been having some difficulties or challenges, let us know so that we can better assist you, okay? We have those weekly motivational essential skills, the weekly career readiness workshops, and then the re-engagement plan. I'm going to be totally honest. I like our students to come through the program and all of them be 100% successful, because that's what I want. But that's not always the case, because we understand that life happens. So there may be an opportunity where a person needs to come back through, but then you need to meet with me. You're going to tell me what you're going to do differently this time than you did before. We're going to go into a re-engagement plan, because we understand that we don't want to just waste money, but we want to invest in your lives to make it better, okay? Next slide. We have popular interventions like popcorn pop-ups. What is that? That's simply like I'm popping some popcorn. Not only does it draw the students, but it also tends to draw the SSC staff. They smell popcorn coming through the hall, they want to come by and get some popcorn. Well, the whole purpose of this is after they completed the session successfully, we want to award them in regards to, hey, have you registered for your next set of classes? If you haven't responded to your college to career coaches at this point, come on in and get some popcorn, and we're going to sit down with you and help you register. Okay? So we try tactics like that. The WEI Slam Jam, the Holiday Slam Jam occurred when we were pretty much virtually in regards to that. And it's an opportunity for me to play cahoots with them. But all of this is going to be essential skills building in terms of keeping you engaged in the program and showing you the supportive services that we have to offer you here. We've also done the vision board workshops, which has been a very successful in regards to that. And that's a picture right there of the vision board. You get to create what your career is going to look like. And if you keep seeing it in front of you, guess what's going to mostly happen? You're going to achieve that goal, right? So it's one thing for you to be interested and say, I'm coming through the program, but it's a whole nother thing that sometimes way in the middle, you begin to drop out. But I want you to take that look at that vision board to see, is that something that you want to continue to do? And we're here to support you in that area. So the organizational impact that we had with the Barber program, it was launched in January of 2021. They took it from another building in regards and revamped this to look at the Barber College. Beautiful. We had our first cohort graduate in May of 2022. Since then, we have added 2 more cohorts. The next cohort will be graduating in December of 2023. These students are coming out with their license as barber, can own their own shops if they choose to, or work for someone else in that capacity. And then it wasn't enough in regards to that barber bus. I know you moved a little, that's okay. That barber bus, they wanted to go throughout the community to say, hey, we can provide free haircuts for you. But not only for that, for marketing purposes as well. I believe they've used this barber bus in parades. And this is an incentive to draw students to our school. So maybe you're not looking for barbering, but there's some other things that we can offer within the WEI program. Next slide. And then, of course, our WEI success stories. Drew Hill completed, barber technician. He is currently working, and he is a new father. Okay, so we have not only impacted him, but the lives that he is working with. Natasha Moore, who's our community health worker, she completed, and she is giving back to the community what we gave to her in WEI. She's working for social service agency and letting the community know about the resources that's available in your community. And then we have Lynetta Smith. She's a patient care technician. She started off with the 8-week program saying, I want to do a CNA. From the CNA, she stepped it up to the patient care technician, and she also is successfully working. They have given their success stories, and we encourage all of our students that once complete, give us those success stories. But not only that, we want tips for success. What made you successful in the program? We want those other students that's coming in to hear your success stories and the tips that were successful for you to come on through. So that kind of gives me my time. And Will, I think I'm going to pass the mic to you now. Is that okay?
So I have to be honest with you all. I'm not as eloquent as Sierra, nor do I have the energy of Anita. So I hope the content I provide will amaze and dazzle, because my presentation, how I present, may not. I'm Will. I run the Workforce Equity Initiative grant for Triton College. Sierra discussed how Rock Valley handles intervention. Anita discussed how they handle retention. I'll spend my time focusing on employment. So before I get into employment interventions, I do want to walk us through year 1 and year 2 of our outcomes. So as you can see, you see a marked difference between year 1 and year 2. And there are strategies that we implemented to make that happen. So for year 2, we had 164 completers, and out of those 164 completers, 151 or 92% actually received employment. And that's up from 79% from the previous year. So what did we do differently? Well, the first thing we had to do, we had to put our employers first. We had to start with the end in mind. We had to go back to the basics of what the Workforce Equity Initiative grant is about, and that's not only offering completion, getting student participants completed, but also helping them get employment. So we worked with institutional research to identify where are the opportunities, where are the jobs within the community. Once we did that, we did our diligence and identified these employers that are offering those jobs. But then we had to take it one step further. We had to identify those employers that align with the mission of WEI of providing high-skill, high-wage opportunities for underrepresented individuals living in poverty. So once we identified those employers, that became the groundwork for our employer partnerships. And from there, we just put them through our cycle. We invited them to our career fairs. We then offered them opportunities to come on campus and for other employer engagement activities and recruiting events. We partnered with our instructors, and those employers actually came to the classroom and presented on opportunities to our participants in class, and oftentimes offered in-class interviews and on-the-spot hiring. But we wanted this to be a well-rounded experience for our participants, so we actually coordinated site visits with these organizations so our participants can get an idea of what it's like working at that specific organization. Now, employer partnership is one portion. Next step we had to focus on is student engagement, our student participants. So from day one, actually before day one, after the orientation, each participant is then required to complete a series of in-person or online work readiness workshops. And then from there, they're required to attend either an on-campus or community-based career fair. And coming out of that career fair, the idea is to network. So our participants then are required to apply to 6 to 9 jobs. Now, this is while they're in class. This isn't after the fact. This is while they're in 1-2 months in. And from that, we expect, based on the law of averages, we hope that the individual will then have 3 interviews. Now, we know that's the ideal case scenario. And sometimes a participant can go and do all the steps, and then they're waiting for that interview. So to incentivize our students, similar to Sierra and Anita, we offer stipends for completion. So once that participant does receive that job offer, they receive a stipend. For us, it's a total of $750. And that's just a motivation to keep them going while they're waiting for that job offer. So I briefly touched on employer partnerships and preparing our students, but really the marked difference, really okay, perfect. Really, the marked difference is really when we identified opportunities for both our participants and our employers to come together. So we courted our our employers, and then we prepared our participants, and now we have to offer a venue for both of them to meet, both professionally and in social settings. And most recently, for our social event, we had a completion ceremony. This was our first completion ceremony, and we only do one once a year. So we got some catching up to do. We had over 140 faculty and staff, employers, and family and friends come and celebrate the completion of our 80 individuals that completed for the spring 2023 semester. And here are a few of our employers and participants, starting in the middle. The top left is Shonda, on the left in the top picture. She oversees hiring for all 3 Loyola University hospitals. And next to her, you have individuals that work for Vitalant. You have Hermione, oh yeah, I remember. I forgot her name. You have Kaylee and Amanda, and the first person, they work for Vitalant, and they oversee hiring for phlebotomy. To the left, you have Kelly and Kaylee. Bottom left, you have Kaylee and Kylie, who oversee hiring for Northwestern University and Rush University, respectively. And finally, you have the stars of the show, our completers. You have the one in the top right, who's taking a selfie with her certificate. That's Melissa. She received a pharmacy certificate, a pharmacy technician certificate. On the left, you have Lisa, who completed not only an EKG technician, but also phlebotomy, and she's working as an EKG technician. And then on the bottom, you have both Savannah and Sahara who completed their pharmacy technician certificates. So we briefly discussed our interventions for each respective college. I thank you all for coming out. And what questions do you have for us?
Are there any questions? All right, right here. Okay, they're going to be passing the mic around and they're asking that you speak in the mic so we can hear the question and then we'll answer.
Well, congratulations on that excellent work, and thanks you for telling us all these, giving us these great hints. Do you do a lot of this work on your own, or are you integrated somewhat with your institutional recruitment groups and career services?
Okay, so for us, WEI does a lot of work on their own, but we also collaborate with other departments because we realize that it's a college community effort in regards to that. And so who helps with that process? The VPs. VP on the academic side, VP on the student services side, they pull them together and say, hey, we need you to work with them. Did you all want to?
Yeah, I know for us, we partner with a lot of the other grants that they have, Perkins Grant, for example, intercultural student services, first year experience and things like that. And then we also partner with CBOs, domestic violence centers, things like that, probation officers, so we could recruit the students that we need to do, but offer that full wraparound services even once they complete through the WEI program.
Well, that is my Associate Vice President for Workforce Education and Innovation, Paul Jensen. He already knows what we do at Triton College. So I believe that question was not targeted at me, but the two of you.
Oh, that was a good setup, Will. Thanks.
Way to get out of that, Will.
Next question. I think I saw a hand up here.
Well, thank you all for presenting. It was very informative, and I appreciate it. So my question is about the intake process for the different colleges. We are the newest to join the consortium. And so what does the intake process look like? Briefly, if you can all just share what it looks like at your college.
I'll go first, Anita. Our intake process, it does varies throughout the colleges, just off different processes and procedures. But ours, we do three main things. I like to verify everything because we have to think about it, at some point we'll get audited, right? So I'm always scared about the state knocking on my door and not being prepared because I don't have the funds to cover any of this. We start with first making sure they have to be a district. So they have to be an in-district college student within our district of Rock Valley College. So that's the number one thing. And we verify that by ID. Okay, ID, driver's license, anything like that. They're verified that you are an in-district student. The second one is, since we provide completion stipends and things like that, we have to have a W-9 for that student, but we verify that W-9 with the Social Security card. Because if a student gives you a W-9, they can put anybody's number on there that they want. So we have to verify it with that social so we know that we have that student. And lastly is the low income piece that we also do. So if our students are employed, we ask them to submit the most recent copy of the check stub. And I verify that based off the household per members, based off any additional income. But if they aren't employed, then we have a letterhead that they sign, name, date of birth, and that I hereby not receiving any wages, and that goes in their file. So we like to check those three boxes so we won't get audited.
So our intake process is a little different. So we do definitely make precautions to ensure that if we were to get audited, we have the necessary paperwork in place. But one thing we also do is with our online application, that goes directly to a Google Doc for us. And all that information is with the student. So it's real time. So if somebody actually went online and applied now, as soon as they hit send, I would see it instantly. So from there, I get to see the responses. And one thing that we really target are the essays. Why do you want to be a part of this program? What interests you? And we really take that to heart. So we go through that application and then we call that individual and we do an interview. And that's just the first step. So after you do the interview, we then assess who are the other applicants that we're considering? And then and if we decide that person is someone that's a good fit, we then send them an acceptance offer, which is 1/2, because we have to ensure that individual is able to respond back to us. So we don't actually consider that person enrolled until they sign the document stating that I agree to to the document that we sent, and then they send that back to us. And then another requirement is attending orientation. Even if we have that paperwork saying that they're wanting to be a part of the program, and even if they're enrolled, if they don't attend our orientation so they know what's required, it's not just a certificate, it's employment as well. If they don't attend that orientation, we unfortunately then have to unenroll them. And so far, we haven't really had to do that, maybe twice. But most participants that take that step of signing the document, sending it back to us, pretty much get through the program.
Okay. And then our intake process, we are not a standalone program. That means we operate under South Suburban College. So your first point of contact is applying to be into the college. Once you receive that student ID number, we then process you through the WI application that's submitted through a Google Doc online. And then from there, we retrieve your information. If it is testing that you need, we're going to send that email to tell you your next steps, right? Because a lot of students will apply, but will not follow through the next steps. So that means you may not be really interested in South Suburban College. You have already self-eliminated yourself if you haven't followed through on the next steps. And then we'll do those outreaches, right? Just in case they missed the email. I have my grant assistant, I have my college to career coaches. They'll call, because we want to make sure that we're not missing any person in regards to that. And then from there, we'll help them register to the classes that they have given us that authority to help them register. We do have a registration department. We work along with them, but they've given us that authority to WI. We help them register. Upon registering, you've got to sign a we participant agreement. That means you are coming into agreement with us that you're going to fulfill the requirements of this program. And from that agreement, we're going to move on to the orientation. From the orientation, we're going to ask them to do the WI intake. Why did you select this program? We want to have all these in measures so that if a person's ready to drop out, we want to bring it back to them. Remember when you? Okay? But we do also do that re-engagement plan that I spoke about. I know that we are 11:46. I think I may have time for one more question, or do I need to stop? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Have you all been able to get any data from the students now that they're in the WE program regarding other areas that they would like training or employment in that you do not currently have?
Yes, so we do exit interviews for all of our students. We want to know about their experience, ways that we can improve. If we need to, if they didn't like the teaching style of an instructor, then I can also address those issues. If we need to, insert new UDLs, whatever we can, but we do exit interviews with every single one of our completers, just so we can see ways that we can enhance the program moving forward. Oh yeah, they'll tell us, they don't like the way this instructor did this, or hey, maybe they like one student. We partner with Prairie Legal State real fast and start doing record expungement. A lot of our students came through with records. So that was another big thing, is reaching out to a nonprofit organization that could help them with record expungement. So that's a big piece. And they talk about, bus passes. A lot of students, you have Uber and stuff, but a lot of our elder students still use bus passes. So when certain things like that, and anything that we can that makes sense, because it has to make sense, to do it. And if we can do it, then we try to service our students the best way possible.
We too also do surveys at the end of completion, and we want to hear from our students. So we thought that everything we provided for you was great, right? But maybe on their end from a student, it was not great. And how can we enhance those programs? We have had students that attend the barber program. They said, "Is a cosmetology coming?" Guess what, y'all? In Grant 5, the leadership is building cosmetology. Okay? So we are acknowledging our students. They said a medical assistant. So everything our students mentioned to us, I take it back to our deans. I take it back to our leadership to say, is this something that we can add to the program as well? And that has been successful thus far in regards to that. So we are meeting the metrics of our students as well.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because we are actually at the point, we've been a part of WEI since its inception in 2019. And we are at the point now where participants are coming back asking for additional credentials. So I don't know if we may have to reevaluate how we do things, but typically we look at, what are you doing with that current credential? Are you working in the field and applying that? Because phlebotomy is over $2,000. And we want to make certain that $2,000 goes to somebody that's going to take that certificate and actually work in that field. So if that person isn't working in the field, typically we don't allow them to come back to get another credential. Now, we may have to reevaluate that because more and more participants are asking to come back and get retrained or reskilled, but that's where we're at the moment. Well, if the person is not working after they say somebody got a medical billing and coding certificate and now they come back 6 months later, they're still working at Jewel, but now they want a pharmacy tech certificate. At the moment, we would not because just the demand of individuals. We'd rather give that opportunity to somebody that we know has a better chance of actually applying that certificate.
Okay, so I saw a hand raised. Is it okay that they take it, or we need to wrap it up now? Okay, so it is lunch. So you can ask us. We'll be in lunch. Ask us any questions that you may have that was not answered for you. Thank you so much for attending the session.
Yeah, feel free to ask them.